get pregnant. And like, to me, I just feel like men can get anybody pregnant. A woman can get pregnant once for 9 months.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of 18th Avenue Podcast. I am your host, Rico Bottles. Today, sitting across from me is my good friend Gigi. We're discussing men birth control methods, educating to preventing unwanted pregnancies, and all of its side effects. Let's get to it.
Because I feel like a lot of people in relationships, they put that onus on the female to make sure that they have the birth control pill or they have methods on how not to get pregnant. And like, to me, I just feel like men can get anybody pregnant. A woman can get pregnant once for 9 months.
Right.
So why haven't they had this method from time or a pill for a guy?
And I think one of the reasons why women birth control pills is a little bit more popular is the simple fact that, you know, like they say, like it's easier to control a single egg than it is to control like a million sperm.
It's going through one tube, sir. One little tube going to the penis. Like, you can control that as easily as you can control an egg.
Actually, it's much more complicated than that. Because apparently, like the male, like releases over like a million plus sperm, millions of sperms a day. So just being able to come up with a method, something that's effective enough to just cut that supply of sperm and be able to control it has been pretty difficult, you know, for researchers to do that. That's why I think like it's probably taking all this time. But we've always had methods around.
Oh, 100%, like vasectomies. But if you don't want to go through that route, because it is extreme, it's like you have to know within yourself and with your partner or whoever to say, I don't want no children. And then you go and sterilize yourself and get that procedure. So having a pill or something that you can kind of control and not go to those extreme measures, I think it's about time. It's 2020. Come on now.
So you're definitely on board with
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Personally, I don't take the birth control pill. I'm not, like, condoms is my best friend. That's just me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Just because I know the effects, like, growing up, especially in high school, a lot of people took female soap birth control pills for acne. It made them gain weight. It made their hormones go out of whack. And seeing that and knowing people who they've gone through that, I'm just kind of like, yo,
I gotta stay away from that.
Stay away from that. I don't want to mess up my body.
Right.
For me, like, it's not fair.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not my thing.
But don't you see there's like a little bit of a double standard that's now where you are not taking it because you don't want to mess up your body according to you. So you much rather have a baby. Is that kind of what you're saying? I don't want to put words in your
No,
mouth.
but I feel like there's other methods of how not to have a baby. Okay. I don't have to.
Whereas condom, vasectomy.
Right? Exactly.
Right.
However, but like, my thing is that I wouldn't personally, just because how it affects your hormones. You know, I know there's now methods that you can get birth control that is doesn't affect your hormones, and you can get devices implanted in you.
Right.
So I don't know if they'll have that for guys, that they can get something that they can implant in them, like they do for females. I'm not sure, but I just know that there's risks in everything.
Right.
And you have to be sure that you want to take those risks, because you are, at the end of the day, messing up with your body.
So you never tried any birth control methods, even just from like day one? It's like this thing, you know, why other women are running around and like, yo, I don't want to get pregnant. I think this is what I go on. Or so you never try any of it?
No, not like the thing, let me pop a pill every month or whatever. No. Like plan B, maybe once or twice. Okay. But like other than that, no. Okay. No.
But you know, at the end of the day, I do think that in theory, this is a good idea. Now I know that, I mean, clearly, so we're talking about birth control pills here. If you're just joining us, again, thank you for tuning into the show. And so far, since the 1960s, I believe, we've always had condom and vasectomy. If you're unfamiliar with vasectomy, you want to explain what vasectomy is?
So basically, a vasectomy is an operation for you to sterilize yourself, for you not to reproduce.
Right.
So basically, it's a small operation. It's a day operation. You're under local anesthesia. And they just cut your scrotum. They get this little, I can't remember what the tube is called, the little nerve ending.
Right.
And they snip it, and then they either burn the end, or they either can tie something so then the sperm doesn't get to your prostate where it comes through the penis and you ejaculate. So that's a method, but that's like, they say you can reverse it, but that's 100% like you're never having children if it works properly.
Yeah, isn't it like, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't want to mistake with anything else, but if I'm not mistaken, I think this is 6% reversal rate, or is it greater than that?
I know it's a small, I thought it was 8, but
Okay,
around the
so
same, yeah.
6-8 kind of deal.
But the thing that gets me is that a lot of people don't talk about like the side effects. And like, if it goes wrong, you literally have erectile dysfunction. You can have scrotum pain. There's somebody, I remember reading like, I don't know if it's true. It's the interwebs,
Right.
who knows?
Okay.
And some guy who got it done, and he was feeling great pain after. And then the only thing, I don't know if it's true, that he said worked is getting castrated. I don't know.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like, to me, I think, again, it's an operation. Even though it's a small operation, it's still an operation that I feel like you have to know the risks in anything, and the pros and the cons.
Okay.
And like the likelihood, if you do change your mind, is it actually reversible?
What an exciting show, guys. I really hope you're having a ball. Coming up next,
I chose to get a vasectomy myself.
can you have a child after you have vasectomy done? What are the percentage? What do you guys think? My take, Gigi's take, and more. Stay tuned.
That I chose to get a vasectomy myself. So I suppose I'm pro for it, although I did resist for sure initially. But basically the reason I did go through with it, because I am married and we have a couple of young kids, so I already feel blessed in that respect. And between me and my wife, we decided that was kind of the end of the road for having kids. And so it was just, of all the options that we were looking at birth control between the two of us, and talking to friends of ours that happen to be doctors, we decided this is kind of the lowest risk one, and it's an interesting feeling for sure, deciding to do it and going through with it. It's not an intense procedure at all, but it's just a little bit intense psychologically, because you are giving up the right to have kids in the future, right? So it's a pretty intense thing, but still, a lot of guys in my circles have made the choice to do it. I've turned 40, and it just did seem like the simplest of all options. Going through it, it was kind of a week on the couch, not even watching YouTube, and so no real ill effects. That was the big thing I think about the other options. Like the classic one. Women getting their tubes tied. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know the official language, but there was just a more invasive procedure, and so we didn't really want to go that route. And then there's a couple other ones for women, even the classic pill, or but there's always downsides to any kind of medical intervention, right? So we went with this choice just on the premise and the advice of it was the least downside, the least potential risk, while still having the consequence of limiting unwanted births, I guess, So that was the path we went down. We only kind of talked about it with our family and a doctor, but I think it's cool. I just met you, but it is interesting. You're trying to uncover sensitive topic, so I applaud you for that, and happy to share my limited opinion on it.
For women, like, especially if you're getting your tubes tied, it is invasive. Like, it's major surgery. You have to, cut open your uterus, and
It's much more harder
it
than
is
getting an
and
injection or...
exactly, and you're under, and it's major surgery. you know. So for him to even be like, you know what, let's not do that and not put his wife through that is admirable, I think.
So I think we'll give him a round of applause.
Yes.
He is probably one of the nicest people I've come across.
Oh, wow.
He is indeed, you can just tell his entire demeanor he was just super, super solid. Yeah, I like this gentleman. I really like him. He was very honest.
And it's amazing that he even disclosed that he had a vasectomy.
Yeah, and that was the thing, right? It was like, you know, it's just he said to me something no one has said to me before. He said, dude, I'm not even sure if I fully understand. This is prior to this point. If I fully understand what you're doing, but I just want to help you. I find so much courage in what you're doing that I want to help.
Oh, that's amazing.
And, no, he's absolutely incredible. And it's just, at that moment, I just felt like this is...
You're on the right path.
I'm on the right path. I'm onto something here.
It is,
a complete stranger like that can feel like that. And, and open up this entire chapter. So... By the way, I call each and every one of these people like brave angels, because you have to be very brave to want to step in front of the camera and just
talk to a total stranger and ask very sensitive questions and answer them, right? And he did so like a soldier and without a fear.
So let's go back to him and listen to the rest of...
Wait, before you do, another thing that shocked me is when he said 40 is a very young age. You can still have children at 40.
Oh yeah, you can make it happen.
You know, you know what I'm saying? But like, that's another thing, that the fact that he's like, I'm 40 and they took this step, it's wow. I just want to know when they started having children.
Yeah, we didn't get to that.
You didn't get into that. Not that depth, right? Not that deep.
Shot fired. Bullet thing. And you get one that goes like
right?
semi-auto.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, we didn't get into that, but I think it's quite amazing that. But I mean, clearly you can tell these are responsible people. Him and his wife, they're making responsible decisions and responsible choices. I mean, clearly, even though the idea, and I applaud him for doing what he did, you know, a lot of this can probably benefit other marriage couple as well, as someone who is unmarried, as a guy who, you know, who is down the street or across the street working at 7-Eleven and is trying to figure out which girl, you know, which girl to be with and whatnot. And so really, I just think I applaud him for, you know, being so brave and stepping in front of the camera and disclosing all that information. And he was very,
True. But do you think it's also different because he's married, he has children, so it's not like he's got the procedure and then found his end-all be-all, and now they're looking to have children? That's what I want to know. Like, if things were reversed, like if there was a if, yeah, we could, you know, we could always go off the if, but I think that mature people most time do mature things. And when I say mature people, I just mean people that are like, look, this is the plan. They can sit down and have a conversation. You know, they have a good relationship to be able to talk about very sensitive things like that. Birth control. I think anybody who's in a relationship who's talking about birth control, who's talking about prevention method, that is a mature relationship. Oh, 100%. And it's a conversation that you must have.
You have to have it with your peers. It has to be between two people.
Exactly.
And it has to be treated equally.
It's a huge decision. It's a huge choice.
Yeah.
To say, okay, you know what, you're going to get a vasectomy, because that means that you're no longer having children, you're sterile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, that's daunting on anybody. If your significant other said, I want you to have a vasectomy, like, it'll plague your mind forever.
Yeah.
Going yes, no, maybe so. Like, you know, you have to weigh out the pros and cons, and it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's
heavy. It's very heavy. Actually, there's a very famous story it's one of these family court TV show where this gentleman take his wife to the family court. Was it the family court or was it like one of these Steve Harvey TV show? Anyway, it was one of these TV shows, right? But here's the story. This man, he's an older man. He's had a vasectomy way back in the 90s sometime when vasectomy wasn't even popular. He was probably one of the first people. 6% chance of it being reversed. He meets this lady. They both cheat on each other's spouses. And that's how they meet, right? So they decide to make their relationship work. Anyway, the woman come out of nowhere, you know, long story short, she thinks she might be pregnant. This man had a vasectomy.
Yeah.
6% chance of it even remotely being possible, right? Long story short, it turns out the baby was his.
Yo, I will go back to the doctor. I'll give me my money back. Like,
But it's worked for over years. Like, it worked.
Yo, but
And I think one time they tried to reverse it or
Yeah.
look into it, and they were just never like, oh no. Every time they got so close, they were like, oh no, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
But for him, I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, he was happy that he can have a kid by this woman because they've been talking about it.
Yeah.
But he was just saying to himself, like, if it turns out that this is not my child, the relationship is over. Because he is super convinced that there's no way in hell. I mean, he's spoken to doctors and things like that. It's huge. It's a well-established guys.
but
So there is that chance.
yeah, there is still that percentage. Like, even if it's 0.001%, there's still that percent. You know what I mean? But wow, having a vasectomy in the 90s and then years later impregnating somebody, I wouldn't know if I was a male, I wouldn't know how it would feel. Even if I was a female who got pregnant, I wouldn't know how, because in my head I would think you can't have children.
They felt like, I'll tell you how they feel, miracle. Yeah, that's how they felt.
That's true. That child was meant to be on this earth. Then
it was meant to
yeah,
be,
it was
they
meant
were
to be.
to have a
That's
child
true.
together,
That's true.
And it happened.
That's true.
Under the circumstances, it wasn't a pretty one because there was a lot of anger and just back and forth between the two of them in bakery. But at the end of the day, they made it happen.
The universe will make things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
All right. So let's finish this man's interview.
You know what? When we looked into it a couple years ago and did the vasectomy, I don't know why we didn't consider those methods. I don't know if they're kind of new or
They are pretty new.
Yeah, maybe they just weren't around.
Especially the injections, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I kind of like how the vasectomy was just described to me as the best option at the time. And yeah, I'm kind of hesitant to get any kind of medical procedure done, but I'm also hesitant to take a pharmaceutical all the time.
Right.
So I would have to look at that option, you know, but I do like the kind of, I don't mind, I suppose, the permanency, although that was the tough part psychologically of the vasectomy.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, the pill side, I don't know. I guess it would be the same kind of thing. I'd look at the risks versus the outcomes that I wanted too. But I don't love the idea of taking a pill every day.
Right.
I think it is kind of cool from an equality standpoint that, like, I guess the guy could take it instead of the women. You know, I think women have taken it a lot in our society, and I think there's fairly little consequences of it, but I think there is some.
There is, yes.
Downsides, and I don't know the downsides of the men taking one. I assume there'd be consequences of that, so I can't really balance the risks there on the spot. But
Okay, so
yeah.
final word, final advice. What would be your advice going forward to any man who is even remotely considering?
I guess you know, it's such a serious thing, so definitely don't act rashly. You know, take your time and talk to people. You know, that definitely includes people that are smarter at medicine than I am. You know, and sometimes you have to be your own medical advocate, though. Like, so do your own research. You can't just listen to one doctor's opinion because sometimes they have their own biases too, right? So, and if you have a partner, then obviously they're involved too. But you know, you might not have a partner, so just yeah, consider it seriously, because yeah, it was a big thing for me, and still it is kind of sensitive to talk about. And I hope it's the right choice. I haven't had any negative consequences, but you never know with these things, right? So yeah, I guess that's my final advice.
Oh man, thank you.
Hey, my pleasure.
He's my type of dude. No pharmaceuticals. I'm down. I don't like them. I think like even now, pharmaceuticals to me, I feel like humans are guinea pigs. So even with the birth control for men, you will never know the real side effects until years down the road.
Are the government enabling people to have kids?
Engage in the act of intercourse.
Or are we just a bunch of people who don't have kids and are jealous? What do you guys think? Let me know. All that in this next segment.
And I don't want to, throw any culture under the bus here. I don't want to put out the wrong information there so people can be like, yo, it's the Indian community or it's the white community, it's the black community, whatever. But there's a lot of community traditionally that believe in that babies, and not that babies are a bad thing, but I just think that there's a lot of people who truly believe that babies is like a blessing from God, and the more you have, the more blessings you have, type of deal, rather than saying, well, I'm a mature adult, I have a good paying job, I'm responsible, I'm ready to have family, start family, and that I'm in a position where I can actually take care of these people. Because I feel like when we go back to the history of why people were having so many kids, like, I come from a family of 9. So it's like, that's 9, 4 brothers, 4 sisters. That's a lot. Nowadays, you rarely even hear that kind of number anymore. But back then, it made sense. I mean, even depending on where you live today, there are places around the world where men are still having crazy kids, right? But back then, there were farms. The kids had something to do. So they just weren't like, yo, I'm going to have 5 kids by like 5 different mothers. And the kids is going to be out there on that street and downtown. The other one is, doing whatever, right? So now we're having kids with no real plan of their well-being, which I think that is a huge disservice and to the kids and to their future. So for me, and I mean when I put it out there that I can think of 5 people who literally should have vasectomy. I'm saying it out of joke, but it's not really like a joke. It's like one of those gray areas where it's like, why are we having all these kids if we can provide proper education for them? We can provide proper parental time with them. We're not home anymore. I mean, what is your experience? Do you think, because society has changed now?
It has, and I feel that if you're going to have multiple children, that you should have the means in providing for them, and that also means time. Like, you can always throw gifts, cash, to children and be like, oh, I was there for you, but they need you, and if you don't have the time to give to your children, then essentially you're just a deadbeat parent. Absolutely. At the end of the day, but like even culturally back in the day, like even now, like polygamy still happens, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like it's what your means. If you have 5 wives, you have to be able to take care of those wives and take care of those children that come from those wives. Right. And if you're unable to do that, then you shouldn't be having multiple partners. That's what I feel. Because like you said, it's not fair on the child. The child didn't choose to be here. It takes 2 people to it takes 2 to tango. Right. So if you're in the country we live in, they give so many resources for people who have children. They have baby bonuses. So it's like people who get GST taxes here, they get a check in the mail. So I'm not sure how much it is per child, but I feel that also encourages people. 500. Right, and that's still a lot. Even if it was $1,000 a child, that's still a lot of money. So like, to me, I feel like a lot of people are like, well, it's free money from the government, but yet we're the ones who are paying that taxes. We're the ones who are working hard for that, and they're just popping out these children. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, I think there needs to be a sense of responsibility that falls on the parent, and being like, if you want to have these children, then you need to also get out of the cycle of being lazy, not to be rude, you know what I mean? And like showing your kids that this is not the end all be all, and like try to change the cycle in which you were raised in. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, like, because my parents had my brother and I when they were in their early 20s.
Right.
You know, I'm in my mid 30s. So, like, I don't have a child in sight in my future. So,
Knock on wood. But you're also not using birth control, so you don't know.
I would have known, yo. I would have had a little pitney coming around. I don't have nobody. So, like, to me, I feel like there's, like, I could have grown up and been like, you know what, my parents had me when they were like 24. I could have went in that same cycle. I could have done that same road, you know? But there was something in me being like, yo, to me, that's just young to have a kid. I still had so much to explore, so much that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So I put that on the back burner. But also, I feel that you need to have children with somebody you know, even if things go bad, you can still co-parent. It's somebody that you want to have a child with.
That's often hard to determine, though. I mean,
is it?
It's really hard to determine, you know, because you're looking at two different worlds coming together. You know, like when you meet somebody the first week, the first 2 weeks, it's kind of like the honeymoon. It's like, yo, you're calling the person 24/7.
Yeah.
You guys are calling each other up.
Yeah.
And then, but normally after that time frame, things starts to like dwindle down.
So then dwindle and leave them alone and go to the next person. Just wrap it up. Take a pill. Do what you need to do.
I know people like people that are like good fathers. Right, like don't get along with that significant other person that they had a baby with.
But do they get along in the sense of they can co-parent properly?
You know, and that's one of the things that always scare me. I'm like, man, oh God, I never want to be put in that situation, you know, because I can't imagine. I grew up with like this old song, with like no father being around. I don't have any recognition of father being around, and at least long enough that I can say, yeah, there's my daddy. This picture of me and my daddy.
Yeah.
So the one thing I've always been careful of is like I don't want to bring a child into this world when I'm not ready, and then have that burden of society be placed on that kid who is more likely probably going to go into a foster home if situation with the mother doesn't work out. I don't want to bring somebody into the world when I'm not ready. The question is, when are you going to be ready?
I was just going to ask that. I'm like, is there any time that anybody's ready for a child or anything like that?
Well, I don't know if there is a perfect time. I don't know. People say that there's never really a perfect time, but I think that there are moments where you feel like I'm ready to do that, and go ahead and do that kind of deal.
Engage in the act of intercourse, then you need to know that, yeah, a child can come out of it. And if you don't want that, then there's preventative measures on how to not have that happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's hard.
Later on in the program, we interview another gentleman.
In that sense. And for people who already have kids, like my stepbrother, who's 35, he doesn't want to have anymore, but he popped one out.
I asked him to explain what he thinks about male birth controls, pills, and who he thinks would benefit from it. His answer and more in this next segment here coming up. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. And what do you guys think are some of the birth control method that you've been practicing? Is out of course a birth control method? All of that and more on this segment. We'd like to hear your feedback.
I definitely need to educate myself more on it, but in the future, definitely once I have kids, I could see myself taking it possibly as well, and especially for younger generations, because I know like some people in their 1920s, they can get a lot of people pregnant. I have some friends who did that when they're younger, and they're wishing that their condoms worked. So I think if they were to take something like that, it would help them and save certain kind of issues and problems that pop up. Yeah, very much so. In ways that they can be aware of it, educate themselves on it as well, to also know what women have to go through with taking birth control and everything like that. So not everything's on women and all that. Educate men to step up and bring some of that onto their plate, kind of thing, in that sense. And for people who already have kids, like my stepbrother, who's 35, if he doesn't want to have anymore, but he popped one out recently with his wife. So if he were to take something like that, that would have completely wiped it away, and he wouldn't have been worried and scared every time that he was going into intercourse.
So you see the good in this?
Yes, I can see some good in it, but I have heard, though, that there is some side effects that can... Yes.
Are you in a relationship right now?
No, hopefully starting one, though.
How cool would it be to know that the responsibility is split between the two of you?
Be great. Level playing field. That's how it should be with everything, I think, in relationships. And honestly, yeah, with all relationships, friends and everything, yeah, but especially male and female, yeah, I think that's good that way.
That's cool. What did you think?
He has some good points. I feel like having the male also, like a guy, take ownership of him taking measures other than a condom, pulling out, you know what I mean? And taking a pill.
Good old pulling out, there's something wrong with that.
Yo, but there's still a risk still. You can still get pregnant.
It's a proven method, like all of these other methods.
Yo, proven for who? Maybe for you because you don't have any little ones.
I don't have any kids, so it's definitely...
You know?
It's 99.99%.
Right, I really want to know what the scale is, with somebody with the oops babies. Like you were mentioning before, how many were like, oh snap, like I thought I pulled out.
Yeah.
Exactly, or like condoms break. 99.9%, that 1%. There is still a percentage of a condom not working, of the pull-out method not working.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I do agree that it does give, I guess, all the onus on females. It's now going to be spread out to the male side as well.
Because one of the other things that was going through my mind about who is this for, right? I was thinking like, well, if I was like a wealthy guy, but I still wanted to have fun, which a lot of wealthy people do, everybody do, but I still want to have fun outside of my family, right? I just don't want any surprise. Then cool, I could do this whole...
But when you say family, do you mean like he's with somebody and having fun, or...
Yeah, a lot of wealthy people have family at home and they're having fun outside. They marriage.
He's a two-timing player.
Huh?
Yo, but my thing is, and that's the thing, because I feel that when you engage in any activity, wealthy, non-wealthy, or whatever, consequences come. And I feel like that baby lock will happen to probably more wealthier people because they feel like, oh, my child will be raised or will have money or whatever. But then people don't look at the opposite side. Like, what if that person's like, yeah, I don't want this kid, and just walks away from everything?
But it happens.
Which is sad.
It happens on both sides. Whether you're rich or poor, it happens. I'm just saying, if I'm a rich guy and I'm like, look, I already have Shaka and I have Zulu. Like, I don't want to have Mufasa. Like, I'm just saying. You know?
But what happens if Mufasa just comes and appears?
Well, and I'm going to go outside my relationship, where maybe I'm probably going to get on this method. I would be like, okay, this is good, because a lot of the truth is that whether you're poor or rich, it has nothing to do with what qualifies a person to have a side chick. It's just it's just things that
or
happen.
a side dude.
Or a side dude, right? But it does happen. I feel like if I have something to protect, then I want to protect it. Because a lot of the time, if you're a wealthy guy and you're out there, hey, chick don't want to go. She don't feel like waking up every morning and going into the office and going to work for an asshole boss. Yeah, maybe she just doesn't want to do that anymore. She hit the jackpot with you. Okay, let's take it to the next level. Whether you stay, don't stay, at least we have something here that you must always take care of, kind of deal.
And baby locking.
There you go. So and a lot of that happened in our society. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying like it doesn't happen to whether or not you don't have money.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that would give you more of a reason to kind of be prone to that. But you have
That's
to,
true.
like what he talked about, you have to be in there, I feel, and be able to have that communication with your spouse. Because,
You know, you can out of course, you know, some little dry humping.
It just sounds like that's what you're supposed to do. It's kind of like when you go to a fancy restaurant, you get your appetizer, you order your water or your drink, whatever, you sit there, have a...
You just don't get your like full course.
Yeah, you don't get the
main
full course.
You don't get the main event.
But you do get it, like, eventually. Like,
Eventually.
It's not like you go back to the restaurant. Like, hey, you know what I said last night for my appetizer? I'm back now for the full course.
Right?
Right?
The main event.
It just sounds to me like another version of full play. So I wouldn't even say it's a birth control method.
It is, because you're not penetrating her vaginally. You can still penetrate other ways, anally, orally, just not vaginally. Don't put the sperm in the canal.
Okay. All right. Okay. There is a solution, I guess.
There is. If you keep your pullout game ain't strong, then keep with the outer course.
Yeah. Just gotta have a lot of patience. Yeah.
Or abstinence. You know what's so funny?
What?
It's funny. I went to a Catholic high school, and
oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And I went to a public elementary school, so we learned about like sex ed and everything like that, and preventive measures.
Yeah, they used to teach us that with the banana. And
right? And then when I went to high school, I was like, yo, why are there daycares here? And then I'm like, it's because they only teach abstinence. I'm like, yo, clearly something ain't working.
Actually, a lot of high school, well, not all of them. I knew of like few high school in my time when like that had a daycare because female were a little bit too advanced. It's always going to be
too advanced.
But yeah,
maybe the guys advanced too.
Huh?
Yeah, but yes, we are.
Like female, hands down, are much more advanced.
100%. But it takes two to tango.
Now, not saying every female. So let's make this thing not everyone, but like I think like if you were to take like the average, then yeah, female would definitely win that war very easily.
What is the average length of relationship?
6 months.
Let us know.
Pregnancy, there's for females there's less cramps, there's less mood swings, there's better flow for that the benefits for females at least. Men, hopefully there might be the mood change, maybe they won't bust, no kids. That's going to save a lot of people's money, lots of time, lots of everything. That's going to save.
Absolutely.
I've heard about the shot.
Okay.
I've heard about the shot. Obviously condom, but like let's be real, those they're not 90%. I heard that it does wonders for the people that have been able to get it done. Heard that they liked it, that they didn't feel any different.
Average lifespan of a relationship is right now
6 months.
This is definitely a millennial.
The average span for a guy is 6 months. When you're 21, it's 6 months. When you're between 30s and a little older, it's maybe they should just get the pill for med. This way they could take it every day like every other woman out there. I hopefully it's reversible. I mean, because for women it is.
Okay.
I mean, if I start birth control today, and then maybe 2-3 months down the road I want to stop, I want to stop. I can stop. It's out of my system. It's good.
Okay.
But in a men's, I guess for the shot, it's in your system. You can't do everybody can benefit from it.
Okay.
Everybody.
But I feel like you get less mood swings if you're not taking a birth control that affects your hormones. So like the IUD, you know, I don't know. I can't, I don't like pharmaceuticals. I'm like, I can't.
You don't even take them.
Like, so like to me, it's just like, but again, like it can cause mood swings. That's a con. It can cause weight gain if you're not looking for that, which is a con, you know? And I know that teenagers are put on it for like if they have acne and stuff, you know, it helps them prevent that. But then what is also fucking you up inside too, you know what I'm saying? So I think there's pros and cons, and it goes for the individual. And it is an easier method, you know, just popping a pill. But like you said earlier, it's just like you have to remind yourself, you have to keep onto it, because what happens if you miss a pill? You know what I mean? Because there are people women who've been on the pill, they missed it, and they got pregnant.
Yeah.
You know? And if you want the classic methods, you know, the pull-out method,
Yeah.
you know, if it's a weak method, you know, if it's not strong, then children are coming your way.
Yeah.
You know?
If, you know.
You right?
If you don't work out and do few sit-ups, do some push-up, and you try to put out, it don't put out. You need to lift weights.
Do you now?
Do some deadlifts.
Okay.
Do some back workout.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to do it. In theory, like I said, this is good. I think it's a step into the right direction, but we're not there yet.
No, and I think that there must be more research. Like it's different because like the pill has been out, I believe, since 1957. That's like what, 60 years? You know, so like they've had.
That's women birth control pills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, for like 60
And
years.
it's
So
still not perfect.
it's not.
Yeah.
You know, and there's methods that they're utilizing now for women not to have these hormonal changes. You know, so like even if it comes out for men, say this year, 2020, you know, you still have to gain that 60 years to feel like, okay, this is not working, or what can we eliminate? What can we add in? What other options can we give other than the options that we have?
Right.
You know, so it will take time. And like I said, like humans, I feel like are guinea pigs anyway. So until people who are taking these methods, the birth control for men, like I feel like you won't actually know real results until 10 years later.
10 years later, 15 years later.
Right?
Yeah.
And
by then you will probably need to be on multiple. Because a lot of women are taking birth control pills, but they have to take something else just to kind of like control their hormones and different things like that. Again, and I feel like I don't think men are willing to go through that same experience. A lot of men mentality is that I've called so many men to just stand in front of the camera. They're just like, what are you doing again?
see you later. But why? Like, I feel like this is a good conversation. It opens up, it just opens up dialogue. Like, to me, do you think it's because men, there's just like this macho persona or whatever? It's just like, if I take this, like, you're less than? Or like, to me, if I was a male and I took this, the first thing I'll be like, will my penis work? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are the side effects?
Yeah.
Will I be able to, get my soldier up?
But don't you think that fall under the educational part of it, like the whole awareness,
True,
this
but
conversation?
yeah, but then what if it affects you differently than somebody else? Say it works wonders for
will.
you and you're good, but this person is now like has erectile dysfunction because he's taking
Yeah,
it.
it will. That
You
will
know?
also happen to some people. But we're not going to find out who those individuals are
Right. So
until they release those
the
documents.
findings. True.
And also until we make it a part of our life. It has to feel like drinking water, being thirsty. That's how it has to feel. But right now, it's too foreign from drinking water. Right now, it sounds like you're asking men to go and try replace water with mud, and that it is going to be the same level of satisfaction. And men are saying, I don't think so. I appreciate the idea behind it. I think this is good. Take the responsibility of whatever.
Women.
I think honestly, most men right now will probably try the vasectomy.
Rather than the pill.
Right. They'll do the condom for sure.
Yeah. Pull out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's also
Pull up.
how are your feelings of all the methods? I don't know if this is getting too personal, too deep. You can answer. You don't. What would you do? Would you pull out, condom, vasectomy? Would you get the injection? Would you do the outer course? You know, bring it back like you're 13.
Pills, I'll forget. Like I just know myself. I forget things. My house, I don't even know where things are.
True. I can attest to that.
So I know I'll forget. Right. Vasectomy, no, not right now. So that's out of the boat. The vaccine, definitely not.
Why?
Only because based on the research that I done, and I actually read this thing that Vice, you're familiar with the network Vice, based on their research and what I got from the information that I read from it was that, okay, yeah, this would definitely be the best way to go if you were going to do any of them. Because then it's one time and for 13 years you're absolutely free, right? But at the same time, there's still like glitch.
That's true.
It's just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it's not. Sticking needle in your penis is just not something that
appeals to you.
Yeah. You're not like, it sounds like I might try that.
Right?
Bob, what do you think, Bob? I think if you go in together, you hold my hands, I hold yours.
Right?
We'll do this thing together. Yeah, it just doesn't sound appealing. So I think for me right now, it's going to stick mostly with
the universe.
The man above.
Right?
We want to pray before we go in. And then
One pray before we go in. Hold up, ma'am. Let me sign of the cross this shit.
Yeah. Wear hat, camouflage, fatigue, head to toe. We're gonna do the whole thing before we go in there. And I think, and then of course the condom.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what I would just stick with whatever it is that's been.
If you're using the condom, make sure there's no holes. Make sure that you're checking the expiration date.
I think, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get like one of those air machine thing. You get it, and then you put the condom to it. You blow the condom, make sure you test it
and
out
then
first,
you put it on?
And then you put the condom on. I think from here on in, that is exactly what I'm going to start.
I see.
That's a newer method. I just thought about it.
There you go, right?
The only issue, where do you get the air machine from?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe like a mattress, like air thingy.
Yeah. What would be like your, now you know all these different methods and whatnot. What do you?
I think that like getting a vasectomy, that's just too permanent for me. I feel like no. Maybe if he was 50, I was 50. You know, I don't want you to get no other female like pregnant. Maybe then.
So you do it out of selfishness, you wouldn't.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's just selfish.
Yo, dog, we 50.
Right?
I don't know. I'm fucking surprised.
But I'm old school, so condom 100%, pull-up method 100%. Even this outer course is very interesting to me. So,
I think I do the outer course, but it's not. I wouldn't treat it as like, I would treat it like a foreplay. It sounds to me like a
it's foreplay. Yeah,
that's what you're doing.
Exactly.
It's like foreplay. It hasn't changed. It's the same.
No.
Whatever you call it.
Exactly. Just I guess you can control yourself to be like, yo, you know what?
Yeah, you gotta wait around for at least give it like 30 seconds, before you go rushing in there. But,
right.
And finally, to our conclusion today, look, if you've seen the whole show, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. When I first heard about the birth control pills and all these sort of methods that are now available for men, I thought it was a joke. But I talked to more men and realized, okay, maybe it might be a little bit more serious than I thought. Men and women need to be aware of their options so that we can go on to make better informed decisions when it comes to unwanted pregnancies. I'd like to thank Gigi for sitting in on this highly sensitive conversation. I'd like to thank everybody for their support. Please don't stop supporting. Like it over here. So here is what you should expect on next week's episode. Check it out. With cocoa butter.
We didn't say she had to be hot. She just had to be like a professional with the cocoa butter.
Nah, dog.
She doesn't have to be hot.
She
You're
has
gonna
to
be
be
old.
hot. What?
You're gonna be old. You can't see anymore.
Yeah. But I still have hope. With that said and done, see you guys next week. Thank you for rocking with 18th Avenue Podcast, and we'd like to thank our guest once again, Gigi. Thank you.
Thinking in the secondary effect, because for me, the birth control pill is really bad because I have a problem in my veins, and this is maybe happening to the men, and this is not really good. Here in Canada, they only give you the DIU. It's not really good for everyone. For me, it's not really good because I'm a really sensitive person. And right now I'm from Venezuela. In Venezuela, I use the implant, but here is no accept the implant.
Finding a girlfriend for one.
Okay. You don't want to be on birth control pills.
Exactly.
Okay.
But probably looking into getting a plan, just being as informed as possible.
Okay. Perfect.
For me, is both parties need the responsibility, not only the men. Because I know everybody talking about
Chocolate bar?
Okay.
If I can get into a routine, yeah. Because with anything, it's just routine. So a little bit, because 13 years is a long time. Not unlike the like microchips or implants that women can get, where they can get them removed and within their hormones can go back within normal within a few months, maybe.
Perfect.
Well, they say that there's no side effects. It'll take a few years to finally actually see if there's any, and if there is, there's problems that kind of concern me about if there's any abnormalities if you do get the girl pregnant on it.
Right.
That's my biggest concern, is that. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with one that it was every 5 years or every 3 years. Especially for guys who are older and they're just starting to settle down. Having kids is kind of up and down question. So it could be no for 1 year, and the next year it could be like, hey, let's do it now.
Right.
So I think they'll probably come out with a few where it's a certain amount of time. So it could be, instead of 13, you could find one for 10, for 5, for 2, for 1.
Like to order her.
Yeah, to order when she gets the prescription, she goes in there. She says, "Hey, I need this." How long?
For me, it'll take like half an hour when I want to get a prescription. I want to say maybe an hour, 2 hours.
Okay, it's about 15 minutes to about half an hour. So,
yeah.
But then we kind of have to do this every day.
Right.
My man, I want to thank you so much.
You could stop taking them.
Right.
Right, and it seems like less of a commitment if you wanted to change your mind.
That's right.
But if we're talking about what works better and you're serious about it, maybe injections are the way to go.
Yeah.
Needed babies or unwanted babies, and they have the power as well. I am married.
You are married?
Yes. We have 3 daughters and 3 grandchildren.
Okay.
So my body can't have any more babies anyway. Of course. Yes, because he's not wanting any more babies either, so of course he would want to do that. He would be very pro for this as well, if I could speak for him.